So I'm going to create a inline style on my nav li. And what this will do is it will make it all on one line. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a nav style. And the nav style is going to have my background color, which I'm going to steal over from my little text pad here, background color. And that's that magenta. And I'm going to get a width, which is, my nav width is 630 pixels, 630. All right. Now, I've got a little bit of a problem. I want this navigation bar to go over to this side right here. And the best way to do this is to create an absolute position. The absolute position really helps you put divs where you in positions exactly where you want to go, but it's a two-step process. Number one is you have to position the area, and then you have to create a relative position in the div that it's in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on my nav, I'm going to go to my position, which is the third grid down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it, and where it says position, I'm going to say absolute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I think what we need to do is right 0 pixels and top, bottom 0 pixels. Now this is not going to do what I want it to do right off the bat. What an absolute position does is it positions exactly bottom right 0, 0. That's not what I want. I want to position it bottom right within the header. So to get that effect, what I'm going to do with my header, and again, this is one of those weird CSS things, is I'm going to position that relative. And voila, as you can see, it is now positioned where I need it to be. If you notice, my H1 here is a little big, so I'm going to take the size of that down. Oh, let's take it down 20 pixels to maybe 80 pixels there. So that works, maybe 85. You can play with that if you want to. All right. Okay. Want to change the color of this? Now, first of all, these are links. So I'm going to go ahead and turn them into links. I think it's easier to do that in the code view just so you can, select them easier. I like to do this. I just put a pound sign in the link area in the properties panel here. By doing that, that gives it a proxy link. It doesn't actually link to a specific file. So again, the pound sign it makes it clickable, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Next thing I'm going to do is I want to add the link color, text shadow, and spacing. I put the A tag in first because that's how I'm going to actually grab these. I'm going to add those styles to that element, which is an A element. So that means nav A. So only the A tag in the nav area. So let's go over to here, the nav A, my text color. Let's see if I can just color pick that. I'm going to go ahead and So I went ahead and grabbed that from Photoshop just so that I can add that in there. I don't know why that didn't take there. Let's take that color, make sure there's a pound sign in there, and hit return, and there's my white. I do not want that underline, so text decoration none. That turns that off. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some margin in there. So the margin would be something like, let's do, we'll start with 20 pixels. And that actually seems to do the trick right there. So let's see, let's do margin left. Let's do 10 pixels on both sides. It is not cooperating here. So let's do margin left, 10 pixels, and then I'm just going to copy and paste that to margin left and margin right. Okay, one last thing I want to do for nav A is a text shadow. So that's again in the text area. Horizontal vertical shadow, we'll give it something like 1 pixel to start. And let's make it black. And we'll give it a tad bit of a blur, maybe 2 pixel blur. Again, to see the actual results, you have to go back into live view. So this is what I've got so far. It's getting there. In the interest of time, I added my name and title up at the top right using the exact same procedure that I did with the navigation. Basically it looks like this. I created a div tag with my name on it. I put it in before everything else, just for convenience sake. It doesn't have to be. You could actually put it over on the other side. It would still have the same place because it's all by your CSS, and basically it said top 10 pixels, right 10 pixels, position absolute, and because the header already has a relative position, then it will be absolute in relationship to the header, not the whole page. So I get everything that I need to get with that. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is, now I'm out of my header, is I'm going to create a section tag. Okay, and the section tag, if I go back to my Photoshop file here, is going to contain the background image. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start turning some things off here to extract that image here. So I'm just going to go ahead and auto select here and turn off all the stuff that I need to turn off here, because all I'm wanting to get is this textured background here. So I'm just turning all the other things off. Now, this is how I kind of do it. You can do this many different ways. I'm going to first of all make sure I select the layer that I'm going for here. This layer actually has the patterns on top, so I'm going to put those two together. That's decoration, 2 decorations here. So I'm going to merge, oops, I'm going to pull that in here. I'm going to merge these 2 decoration layers together. So merge down, and then pull that down below, just below the background there. And I'm going to merge that down. Then I'm going to take my marquee tool, and I've got that layer selected, and I'm just going to pull that out, select that whole layer, Command C, Command N, hit return, Command V, and there's my graphic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this graphic as my background layer, and then I'm going to use the background color as the background color of my section, and that way it will extend beyond. Or I can just use this, just do File, Save for Web. This is a good JPEG. GIF would work, but I'll use JPEG because that's going to be actually smaller. And then I'm going to go into my site here. And I have an images folder in there. I guess I better make one. Images. And we're going to call this content BG for content background. Okay, jump back over to Dreamweaver. Inside my section, in my style, I'm going to create a section style here. And we're going to call this background image. Browse. Look in my images folder. There's my content BG. Choose that. By not saying anything, that's going to make that repeat. And just so you'll see this, I'm just going to put some dummy content in there for just a second. Let's get that in there. Oops. Let me turn live view off. And there's my background image. You can see that going on there. All right. Get rid of all that. Okay, so inside my section, I'm going to create an aside. And I'm going to create an article. My aside is going to be, let's see, my aside width is 310, my article width is 640. So I'm going to create my styles here. Aside width. I'm going to pause for just a second. And so those are going to be side by side, so don't forget to float left for both of those. See my little trick? I copy the semicolon and then paste it onto the next line so I can add all of that at the same time. Okay. Then don't forget that I have that little issue. See, it doesn't show up under here, so the section has to now have overflow. That's that weird little thing again. I'll just do auto for this case, so then you'll see the section actually happening on the background. Alright, so let's go back to Dreamweaver or Photoshop. And close this out. I'm going to go back in time here to get all my layers back, and then I'm going to turn on everything again. See, there's my image. I want to get this now is my new menu, so I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to paste that inside my aside. This one will have breaks on it. Just like that. And we're going to put this in we're going to give the aside a little padding here. So let me just go ahead and click this. Give the aside maybe 20 pixel padding. And 10 from the top, 20 from the top. Now, remember, as soon as I add padding, it adds size to it. There is a little simple thing here called box sizing, and you want to do border box on that. Boy, I tell you, that is not responsive at all. So section, oh, actually I don't want that on the section at all. So let me go back in time.